They say the hook is the most important part of a video to keep you watching. So here's my hook. I've completed a 5K every single day without missing a day for 2,212 days straight. It's a little over 6 years. What I want to do in this video is share with you those lessons that I learned over 6 years, and then also make a public announcement at the end of this. For some housekeeping first, if you're watching or starting this on LinkedIn, it's going to cut off at I think 15 or 20 minutes. So hop over to the YouTube channel, which is officially announced as of today, and finish it up. I'll provide a link for where this is in the comments on LinkedIn. If you're already on YouTube, then I appreciate it. Good morning.
Good morning.
So a couple housekeeping things in addition to that would be, yes, I'm running. Yes, you're going to hear me breathing deeply. Yes, you might hear some wind. Yes, the video might be a little shaky. Yes, we're going to encounter some people, and I'm going to say good morning a lot because that's what we do in the South. If you know, you know. But where we need to start before we get into all this amazing stuff that the Lord taught me and continues to teach me through this process is we need to start at the very beginning. So I was turning 33 years old. I'm 39 now. I just turned 39 a couple weeks ago, actually. And the Lord was really showing me that I had lost my discipline, my muscle of discipline, if you will. And it had really made its way through my entire life. So it wasn't just that it was in one area, it was in every area. Probably worst of all, it was spiritually. So as I was turning 33, there was just this moment, good morning, of looking back at the last 3 years of my life and comparing it to Jesus's ministry, which was a total of 3 years. And it was just so insignificant with everything that I had done. Good morning. And it really just hit me. And then this is where, you know, the totality of the discipline element came in, and there's a much deeper story there. Good morning. But for now, what I'll share is that it was just so deep of conviction that I also then felt the Lord say, you're going to do 3.3 miles a day with no end date, no goal. Good morning. No other information that was given to me at the time. And it was a challenge. I showed up that first day, again, not really knowing what this whole thing was, just a little confused, but also knowing that this is exactly what I was supposed to be doing. So I knew in my soul and in my heart that I was supposed to do this. I just didn't know why. So every year taught me something different, and every year continues to teach me something different in this whole process. But we're going to start with the first year because that was so foundational to everything, and everything stacks on top of that. And it really, at this point, after 6 years, it just weaves through everything. It is so beautiful. So year one was all about refusing to fail. And what I learned through that whole process is that knowing that there's a goal that is so big that you can't even see the end of it and know where its limitations are, that if you show up every single day refusing to fail at the one thing that you're supposed to do, it will compound like compound interest over time, and it will show you that you are capable of things that you never thought possible. The one important thing I want to share with this is that this is not done separately from God, from your reliance in Jesus, because in Him we are strong, and in Him we are capable, and in Him we are able to refuse to fail. So this is not just brute force. I'm going to do it all on my own strength. This is relying on the Lord to give you strength in order to refuse to fail. And what this will do is it will create this foundational mind shift that no matter what you're approaching, if you invert it from how you normally think of it, which is your normal process of thinking, is I have to accomplish this goal. And you set the goal and you go towards completing the goal, which I know sounds so elementary, but when you invert that and you don't so much focus on the goal as you do refusing to fail at one thing every single day, you will actually exceed what that goal is. Because I forget who said it, who quoted it, but they talk about people underestimate what they can do in a year and they overestimate in what they can do in a day. And so when you look at it from that perspective, it should suggest that we need to strip down to the simplicity of the daily activity and the relentless pursuit against actions towards that goal. And it was amazing. It was pivotal. There's a lot more depth that I will go into later, not in this video, but in future ones, about what the literal depth of this was. But I want to get through each year so that we can kind of form the picture and then understand what's coming. Year 2 was all about resiliency, and I didn't know that I was going to learn resiliency. I didn't really ask for it, and the way it came about is I was kind of being an idiot. And if you've ever heard of those one wheel things, I had tried hopping on one of those, and I was wearing some Hey Dude shoes. Yeah, I know what you're thinking already. And yes, it did end badly. The thing freaked out on me. I went up, came straight down. My foot was like this, and I broke my big toe. And to say that I was devastated is a massive understatement. I mean, obviously it was very painful, but that night when it had happened, I was sitting there crying with my wife. Well, she wasn't crying, I was crying. And I had just had this realization of I am a year and a half into what I have no idea this is. I just know I'm supposed to be obedient to doing it. And I'm not going to be able to finish it. There's literally not enough willpower that I have that can overcome a broken toe. And mind you, it was my big toe on my right foot. So said another way, it's the one that keeps you the most stable, at least for me, because I'm right-handed and my right side is my strong side. So it was really interesting thinking of it from that perspective, because what it showed me through that year is that when physical pain comes to try and overtake you, which it's not going to be always physical, it could be mental, it could be other things that are, adversity, items, things that are going to try and trip you up, attacks, all of the things, that you have to have a shift in mindset so big that if you match it with that refusal to fail, and you have that level of resiliency, that there's nothing that will come in your way to stand against you. And there's plenty of scripture that talks about that. But here's the thing. That first morning after, it was more painful than the day before. And I was truly faced with the decision of, I have no idea. I literally cannot do this on my own strength. This is going to be a story that only points back to God, to say that He literally lightened my body and carried me through this trial. And that's what happened. The first day, it probably took, I need to go back and look, but probably 3 hours, maybe 4 hours to complete it. And it was the most painful thing that I've ever encountered. But I did it. And it showed me that when I faced the worst of the worst, which by far that was the worst day of pain, that I had what it took to press on, to continue forward, knowing that I was called to do this. Again, still not understanding why, still no end date, still no destination, but that I was still showing up every day to say yes, to be obedient, and to continue doing what it is that I'm doing. Which brings us to year 3. So, refuse to fail, resiliency, and then that taught me consistency. So the power of showing up every single day, attacking the goal, and doing it so that it becomes so deep inside of you that you become a person of consistency. And it filters into every other aspect of life, where you just become literally a consistent person. You become that person that people can depend on, not just in doing the act of the refusing to fail at one thing, but in everything. And that shifts, good morning.
Hello.
That shifts mentality, it shifts relationships, it shifts objectives, it shifts your vision, and it shows you that even though the world tries to pull you away in distraction, that you can focus. I can't remember who said it, but focus is the elimination of all other alternatives. And so if we match that with consistently, and we consistently focus, anything is possible. Absolutely anything. And there's so much encouragement in that. I feel like there's somebody that needs to hear that today. That brings us to year 4. Year 4, honestly, I call this the plateau. It was really boring. And I'm not lying. I'm 4 years into this thing, which for perspective, just to think from a time standpoint, it's basically an entire high school career. So I'm an entire high school career into this thing. Still have no end date, still have no idea why I'm doing this, but I'm doing it. And it was just a grind. That year, there was a lot of other things going on in life that really made it challenging to do this. We were traveling the country in our RV, and that was a ton of fun. It was a really great experience, but that year just became kind of boring. Good morning. And it was really tough because it's kind of like that valley in entrepreneurship when the excitement's worn off, you're not growing as fast as you want to, and it just feels like a job, like a chore, like a burden almost. And you're faced with, do you shrink back? Do you stick in complacency and remain comfortable? Do you press in? How hard do you press in? What do you do? And so the thing I learned through this plateau was just to simply show up and get the job done. There's gonna be times where you don't have answers. You don't see through the forest. You don't know what's next. You don't know who to talk to. You don't know where you're going. You still have no idea what's on the other side of that forest. But all you have to do is show up every single day. And this is where there was a really cool saying that I learned, and I feel like I've kind of adapted it. I don't know if someone else has said it, but it's what runs through my mind, that I show up every day to pay rent into the machine of discipline, because it's a daily, relentless choice, and that machine waits for no one. And the moment that you stop paying your rent into that machine is the moment that it stops, and then the moment that it starts to work backwards, and you start to get further and further from it. So the plateau matched with consistency, matched with resiliency, matched with the refusal to fail, is a really, really powerful force. And what it built to was year 5, which was, it became my identity, which I know sounds insane because 5 years of doing this and I hadn't thought that this was my identity, but it really wasn't until year 5 that was revealed, of like, I am a disciplined person. I am pursuing discipline every single day. I am allowing it to filter into every other element of my day. Have a good one. And it was me. and it transformed every other element, because then what happened is I basically gave myself permission, which sounds, again, insane, but I gave myself permission to be a disciplined person in the areas of life where I've let that slack. I allowed it to redefine me, because it's not like our identity is fragmented and we're this person here and that person there and this person wherever else. We're the same person, and it's just your mind that's trying to compartmentalize it and make you into different people regarding your situations. And it was so powerful. We are 2.92 minutes into this, miles into this. So we're coming up on a 5K. And what I want to do is land the plane. As my wife says. Year 6. I didn't really know what this was until about 3 months into 2025. And I had just, come off of this becoming my identity, the transformation there. And what I heard clear as day is emerge in community specifically. And so that's what this year's been teaching and has taught, because we already crossed 6 years. Good morning.
But,
it's been teaching and has taught and continues to teach, which I know is redundant from what I just said, but there's so much power in community, and specifically when there's a goal so big that you need others to not only accomplish it, but to build you up in it. And for me, that was really transformational, because this was also when I heard what the goal is, which is really cool. We're going to be doing this for 10 years, which is another 4 years. Good morning.
Morning.
And at the end of 10 years, we're going to do it across the United States. I have no idea how long it's going to take me. I've seen the averages, which is about 6 months. And we're going to raise a bunch of money for a cause. And I'm going to meet up with a lot of you along the way. And so the big announcement here is that I'm going to be doing exactly what we just did right now, every single day for the next year. So there's 364 more days of this, where we're going to run together every morning. This is going to be posted in the afternoon. It's going to be kind of like your morning shot of coffee or espresso in the afternoon to give you some energy to finish out your day strong. And we're going to do this together. And here's my challenge to you. This isn't about me. It has nothing to do with me. I'm simply standing in the gap because the Lord's called me to do so. And we, as a group, are going to find one thing to refuse to fail at over the next 365 days. And some of you will see this in the next couple months. This is on August 28th, 2025. So you may see it in September, October, later in the year, whenever it is. You're still going to commit to a full year, no matter where you're at. This is not a formal community where there's a paid subscription or a course to teach you. Literally no other objective other than to simply show up every day, pay that rent into the machine of discipline, and do it alongside each and every one of you. And we're just going to continue the conversation every day on how the Lord is moving through that in you and in your situation. And as we all come together and strengthen each other in this, it is going to be such a beautiful story that continues to build, and frankly probably goes past the next year. But that's the current objective. You don't have to run a 5K. You don't have to walk a 5K. You don't have to do anything physical if that's something you can't do. Just pick one thing. Maybe it's not picking up your phone the first thing in the morning, which sounds easy, but it is a challenge. And that will set your day differently. Maybe it's getting into the Word every single day in the morning and hearing what the Lord has to say. I don't know what it is for you, but my prayer for you is that you would seek the Lord in this and ask Him, what he would have you do, and he'll reveal it. There are so many promises in the Bible about when we seek the Lord, he shows his face. He gives us the desires of our heart. And it's not a thing like a genie where we're asking for things. We're desiring to be closer to the Lord. And we're desiring to continue being refined. And we're desiring to get to heaven and hear, well done, good and faithful servant. And so I'm at 3.54. I promise to keep more on track so these videos aren't 45 minutes, but man, when I get fired up, we just go for it. So here's where I'm going to leave you today. Check back every afternoon. This video will be up on LinkedIn. The full video will be on YouTube. Engage in the comments. Talk about what your one thing is going to be. And we're going to have this conversation every single day, just like this, no matter where we are at in the country, no matter where we are at in the world. And we are going to transform not just our lives, but this community of people that rallies around this. So I hope you have a good rest of your morning. This is the first video of 365. The rest of them will be saying good afternoon, but for today, it's good morning, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you here tomorrow.